everyone, this is Guido Pelagos, konnichiwa, and today we're talking about the Grand Seiko SBGX115. Now, I just started this video because I was trying to set up all kinds of stuff and it didn't work, so I just thought let's do it like this and see where it ends. So, what do I have with me today? Of course, the box, the outer box, and if you open that box, you'll find some rice paper wrapped around the box where the watch comes in, and there's the watch itself. There we go. Such a nice watch. Now the review of the watch. Now, why did I get this watch and what do I want from this watch and whatever. When I found this watch in a video by Ariel Adams from A Blog to Watch talking about it, I was immediately in love with it. I don't know why, it just spoke to me. And funny thing is that it's quite a rare watch to get. You can get it from Japan, just retail. But to get one second hand, you really have to go over the market and see if you can find one anywhere. So I was very happy that I found this one just about more than a week ago. It's like a week and a half ago. But of course, I don't have the financial means to do this kinds of buying every day. So I had to make a sacrifice, and I had been doubting about the Zenith. I love that watch. But with all the complications, and you know, if you drop it or whatever, like I said, it wasn't getting enough wrist time, and I was just a little bit too cautious with it. And I like things sturdy, strong, durable. That's my kind of thing. That's why I buy my stuff. I buy my stuff not for the niceness. Well, this is, of course, but normally I buy my stuff for the durability and the toughness of something. Actually, my tough. It's not here. My tough camera, I'm filming this with my phone at the moment because my tough Olympus camera broke down. So the screen didn't work anymore, and then it's almost useless. So I might want to see if I can get another camera in. If you have any ideas, let me know. Continuing with the review, as you will see, I got my nice little cup of coffee here. So that's necessary for these things. Oh man, that is good. So anyway, I wrote a few things down because it's just going to be too hard to remember everything. Now this watch has a quartz movement inside it. Now not many of the collectors will really enjoy that because quartz is seen like swearing in church when it comes to horology. But then again, it's not really fair because we all start out with a quartz watch. Almost all of us starts out with a quartz watch, and then you go into mechanical stuff. And a lot of people stick to mechanical. Once they get mechanical, they want to go like I did with the Zenith. You know, you want to get more complicated mechanical. You want to have higher quality mechanical, Geneva seals, and all kind of that kind of shit. And at one point, if you want to go full circle, you're going to come back to quartz. Now, it doesn't mean that if you stick with mechanical, you're doing wrong. You may be doing a better job. I don't know, but to enjoy everything, you got to come back to your roots. And for me, that this was a quartz watch. When I found out, I really didn't mind. And this is not even just a normal quartz watch. You know, this watch has a 9F quartz movement in it, and that's a movement developed in-house by Seiko in 1993, and nothing more or less came close since. It's one of the most accurate, reliable movements in there. It will go 50 years without its service. The battery will last you about 3 years, but the movement itself is super sealed, which means that even if you open it up and change the battery, still the movement itself will not be touched, and so the oils and the lubricants will last for about 50 years. That's a record. I think it's a world record for a watch without having a service. Now this is made in a factory where also the spring drive is made. Let's see what the name is. The Shinzu Watch Studio. And even this movement as well, it has a pacing switch in which, like a mechanical watch, you can adjust the time that it will just be on chronometer specs. This of course has a thermal compensation, which means that the crystals oscillate slightly, differ slightly when the temperature drops and rises very quickly. So this watch 540 times a day, it will measure the temperature and will adjust the running of the time accordingly. Now Seiko grows all its crystals in-house, and it will grow it, and then it will, for 3 months, it will keep monitoring it, and only the best crystals will be used for the Grand Seikos. Now, this is one of the first Grand Seikos with a quartz movement anyway, as it is one of the most first ones that actually has a symmetrical dial. You don't see that much with the Grand Seikos. It always has a date or something else in it. The movement has a unique twin pulse system. It's a motor that moves the hands, and that means that you can't see it. I'll put a video up, but as you see the second hand, it just goes. You know, it hasn't has any wiggle, and that's because it does 2 steps in a second. You can't see that because it's like a fraction of a second that happens. But what it does is that 2 steps twin pulse motor has a backlash that adjusts the mechanics. So it will first go once, and it forces the hands to correct itself, and then it will go on hitting the marker exactly. It's quite an ingenious engineering thing, in my opinion, that really is attractive about this watch. Just like a high beat that will very slightly go, that you will love the way it smoothly goes, and this is just dead on, bomb, 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 and a wiggle, wiggle, wiggle will not happen. Now each of these hands has an independent axis, so it's quite durable. It makes it a bit of a pain to set, because if you push the crown in, the minute hand will just slightly move, and because it's so exact that it's very well possible that a minute hand will just move a little bit out of tune, which means that like 10 seconds after the whole minute, you will see the minute hand actually hitting the marker straight on. So you have to do it 2 or 3 times, put in a little bit in advance, push it in, and hopefully it will just wiggle back in the exact same state you have. It took me about 3 to 4 times. Now it's running brilliantly. Excuse me. Is that a problem? No, not really, because you don't really have to set it. It has a deviance of about 5 to 10 seconds a year. So, you know, even after 3 years, you send it back for a battery change, you get it back, you won't have to set it. Unless, like I saw, it was just like 10 to 12 seconds off. And, you know, you spend a little time just setting it exactly, but then it's done, you don't have to worry about it. Just once a month, you open the crown, you turn it back again, just for to keep it running. What was it? The 9 F61 high-end quartz is that it has a very high torque. It has a torque up to 1.8 times the normal quartz watch, which means it can actually carry these very big hands that are on this watch, which I'll show you in a minute. That will make it less, how do you say, it will drain the battery quicker, but still will go on for 3 years, and that's the only thing you have to do every 3 to 4, 5 years. So these hands are very well polished. They're titanium, and they're polished very fine so that the light won't reflect on the hands. Now you will see later as well, the second hand is quite large. It's got a lollipop hand on the other side of the axis, which I think is very nice. The Lumi Bright is just almost as good as the Pelagos. I mean, of course they don't sell out when they're gonna do lume on a watch like this. What I do find interesting, I'll show you later what it says on the dial. So the finishing is really good. I mean, you will see it. It has everything a Rolex has, but it's not a Rolex, and it will never be a Rolex. But on the other hand, a Rolex will never be a GS. The thing is that it's completely different philosophy. It's Japanese versus Swiss. That's why I really love having the Pelagos as a Swiss watch, the Swiss stylish watch, against the GS, or together with the GS, I should say, having 2 very good dive watches. Now they only went to 200 meters, I don't know why, but it's more than enough anybody will need who's buying this watch. So bad thing, well, I wasn't able to set date because there is no date, and I'm very used to using a date on my wrist. So a few times I was like, oh, it doesn't have a date. But then you get your phone out and you'll get your date and everything else. It's got drilled through lugs. It's not my most... I don't really enjoy drilled through lugs that much. I like it more when it's smooth. On the other hand, I found out trying to get the pins out when it doesn't have drilled through lugs is a pain, and you might damage the endlings or the lugs. So the idea of drilled through lugs, I really can understand. Yeah, really good. So let's have a little bit of a close-up of the watch, and you will see what I really like about it. So we'll see now. This is the case again. There's the watch. Let's take it out. Now first I'll show you the bracelet. Oh, there we go. And you can see the bracelet has polished edges, 3-link, drilled through lugs, just solid end links. This is the micro adjust. This is actually quite an interesting thing. As you can see, it is a bit thick on the wrist, like it's kind of thick, but it still fits under the sleeve and it doesn't have any edges, so you won't rip up your shirt or whatever. So you open it right here, and then this double click button will open it. If you pull this back, this is your adjust. Now, great thing if you put it around your wrist, for example like this. Now of course it's very loose, but you can just close it down and it will fit perfectly. Open it up again. Here you can see the case back, if that works well. The lighting is good, but it's always a bit of a pain with the bracelet to show the case back. There you got the case back with the line Grand Seiko. You can see the minutes or the seconds, and there is some movement information, made in Japan, movement number. This is all the same. Actually, this whole movement inside is made by one watchmaker. It's assembled by one watchmaker. The only other watchmaker that comes there is the one who puts the hands on there. So the technician puts on the hands, but the movement itself is made by only one watchmaker. Let me check for you the bezel, which is 120 clicks. And if you can listen to this sound, it's really nice. Smooth as butter. It doesn't have a stop like the Pelagos has, so as you can see it's one too far. Yeah, there we go. The dial, it looks white, but it's kind of a silverish white. So it's it doesn't reflect that much light back. And it looks white, but it isn't. Which makes, in my opinion, makes it even nicer. There you see the crown. Some might say the crown is a little bit small. It's not something that I was aware of until they told me, and I don't really mind. The bezel itself, you can see that the numbers taper a bit to the center. I think it's kind of this Japanese hentai style of numbers, you know, the cartoonish almost. I think it's just awesome. As you can see here, it says Seiko, and then underneath it says Grand Seiko. Interesting though, I really don't know why it says Divers 200 or Divers 200 meter. What does the apostrophe S stand for? If you say Diver 200 meter, I would understand, but Divers 200 meter, somebody explain to me. Maybe it's my English, not my native language, that didn't really get through to me. If you can see here the finishing, so it got brushed and then polished and then brushed again. Even this tiny little piece here in the top is brushed and the rest is polished. The bracelet though has, and that's interesting, it uses pins instead of screws. They probably have a reason for that. It's not something I was expecting. Don't really care because it was already done when I got it. The bracelet itself, it tapers. So it starts off with 22 millimeters going down to, I guess, 18, 20. It's very comfortable on the wrist like that as well. Now, of course, the watch back is screwed on. That is selbstverständlich. The diameter of the watch is 42.7 millimeters. The lugs are 22, and the thickness of the watch is more or less only 13 millimeters. That is not very thick. It's a sapphire crystal with AR coating, so legibility will almost always be brilliant. You can always, in any sunlight, you will be able to see it. Now it's getting a lot of sunlight now, so I'll just do a loom shot in a moment, so you can see what kind of loom it has on there. Like I said, you can't really compare this to a Swiss watch. It's just apples and oranges. It's just a Japanese style and philosophy. No date, so it's very symmetrical. And no, I think it's just a brilliant watch. Look at the second hand. Damn. Bam. 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 Dead on and really strong. No wiggle. Very, very nice. Let me give you some wrist shots. I'll put it on the wrist. Lovely. Look how bright that loom is. And in comparison to the black, because this has a kind of a whitish dial, you can see it bounces a little bit off the dial itself, the loom. So you get even more legibility. And as you can see as well on the left now at 45, it's the lollipop, which means that the second hand is coming to 15. It's just counterclockwise, really nice. So it's hitting 30 now. So it's 180 degrees difference, but truly a remarkable loomed watch as well. Awesome. Well, that was the review. I hope you liked it. The review of the Seiko SGBX or SBGX. It's always the same. Those four letters, I always get them wrong. 115 with the quartz movement in there. And if there's any questions, I'll probably do a live show soon. Hope you enjoy this. And you'll see some extra footage of some videos up next. Okay, cheers guys. Chatty bye.